Craig and Lorena, I know we've kind of been going around here.
Before we actually go into this article that was written on That Park Place, will I be sued because I'm talking about it today?
Yes,
apparently.
Okay, just wanted this clarity. Thank you.
You're on the list, Craig.
We're
all on the list.
Yes.
I'd like to say hi to all our wonderful new viewers today. Hi, Black Girl Gamers. Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
Well, they're definitely watching this.
Every viewer's on the list.
Right.
I would like to say hello to my future jury. I hope you guys are doing well.
Yes, indeed. But Craig at Side Scrollers, Lorena Creole, also on YouTube, have some great channels. Please make sure y'all check them out.
Thank you.
But let me pull this up now that we're kind of get going. I think Jeremy, Geeks and Gamers Jeremy, should probably be hopping in here in a little bit.
As you pull this up, Valiant, let's just say too that John Trent was brought on from Bounding into comics. There is no bad blood with Bounding into comics. We love Spencer Bakula, who became the new editor-in-chief there. Frequent guest on my channel, etc. John came over to That Park Place. John has many, many years, and some of the biggest YouTube channels out there have read his articles thousands and thousands of times. We're talking about The Quartering. We're talking about Clownfish. We're talking about so many out there. Nerdrotic reading John's articles. So That Park Place is currently being redesigned, and it just so happens that the brand new amazing design will be debuting in about 2 weeks. It's been under construction for 3 months. So for anyone who wanted to take on John and silence him, interesting timing.
Yeah, could you have waited 1 week before you started all this, please, BGG?
Yeah, well, no, I guess not. And we will be mods. I guess. Let me see if I can. Jonas, do me a favor. Would you please take the link that Lorena just shared and send it to the Valiant Renegade Mod Squad group and have them throw that in the chat? Lorena Creole, who one of the people that has been targeted by Black Girl Gamers apart from That Park Place is, of course, Vanessa Gothics TV. She was on with Craig from Side Scrollers recently. She was on Saturday night with Yellow Flash. And Lorena just concluded an interview with Vanessa. Was that interview done since the Saturday night Screed, the 33 part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we got into that.
Good.
In the video. So
excellent.
Our first time speaking out about it.
Excellent. Okay, we have one more person joining us right now. He might be in his car. Hi.
What's up, guys? I am in my car, so I'm just here to show support because I think with everything going on, just being all together and showing these clowns that they have no power. So this will be one of the first times I'm just going to shut up and not talk much, but I'm just here to show support. So hail to That Park Place, Valiant Renegade, and to our very diverse panel, because diversity is our strength.
Hail to the Cobra and the 199.
That's right. Jeremy. That's right. Well, let's talk about the article here. But before I do want to mention one thing. And folks, I should have said this earlier. We had so many new guests tonight. Don't worry. We're going to get to your super chats. We're on a bit of a schedule. If we do not get to all the super chats before 8 p.m. Eastern, when we're going to send people, you will be automatically redirected to Ron Coleman on his YouTube channel, where he will deliver the official That Park Place response to the cease and desist that we're going to show you on this show. So stay tuned. We also have a copy of the response, or one of the potential responses, that we'll show you here in just a little while. So stay tuned for that. But that being said, $100 from Staccato DDS. Thank you so very much. Unfortunately for Black Girl Gamers, DEI is not codified into labor law, though discriminatory hiring practices are. How ironic, the decades of hiring inequalities against the black population, cured with labor law, are simply ignored by Black Girl Gamers when the high heel is on the other foot. Interesting take, Staccato. I hear you. But let's get into this, and then we'll circle back. We will get to the super chats. Well, I got to get to this one. Is This Live throwing this in with 50 gifted channel memberships? Wow. That's a $250 super chat. Thank you so much. Is this live? I will save that and we will readdress that. And thank you once again a little bit later. But again, like I said, because this is a little bit different than the Sunday show, trying to keep it on the schedule here. This is the article in question that apparently irked the wrath of black girl gamers, and according to the cease and desist request from their legal representative, also Miss J.N. Lopez, the CEO of Black Girl Gamers Incorporated. And again, we're talking about BGG Inc. here. We have to separate in our minds the Facebook groups, the Discord groups, from the actual business entity. This is what we're dealing with here. Forspoken consultant Black Girl Gamers appears to discriminate in their hiring practices while claiming they are being harassed. Appears to discriminate in their hiring practices while claiming they're being harassed. And the article goes through all of the particulars, some of the things that we've talked about here before. Back on February 19th, the organization appeared to post a job opportunity on X, limiting the applicants based on race and gender. The organization wrote, looking for black women content creators that make Dungeons & Dragons D&D content for some potential brand work. Hit us up. And there's a copy of the actual tweet. Now, this is a lengthy piece, and I want you to bear that in mind when we get to reading the actual cease and desist and some of the claims made in this cease and desist. So just keep that in the back of your
As you do, Valiant, I want to clarify that to the very best of my knowledge, and I'm talking about to the very best of my knowledge, this article has never been changed since it was published, and I would be able to check that. So this article is as it was, and pay close attention to words like appear. I'll say that without additional commentary.
There you go. Ironically, a little less than a month later, the organization claimed it was being harassed while not providing any evidence. It posted on X, and this was one of the initial posts that they had on this. The quote, the amount of harassment we've had recently due to this Gamergate 2 is not surprising. Gamers that thought the industry revolved around them and their comforts are now realizing that it doesn't. We've had emails, comments, and threats, but we're not going anywhere, the post concluded. Again, there's a copy of the post. Interesting, in a post shortly after that, when the organization implied that telling it, quote, you're not being harassed is harassment. And there's a copy of this one. You're not being harassed while simultaneously partaking in the harassment is insane. So now they appear to be claiming that saying that we disagree with your assessment that you're being harassed is in and of itself more harassment. So I want you to bear all of this context in mind, folks, in this very, very poorly researched article. Of course, I'll get to the joke in a minute. As noted above, the organization consulted with Square Enix on Forspoken. Craig, guys, did Forspoken do well?
No.
I actually
Not at all.
I'm probably one of the few people that actually
100%
played the
it
game.
Forspoken. I actually 100%.
Oh, so you played it too? So we got two of us that actually played it. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Y'all
I
played
beat
it
the
all the way
whole
through?
game, and it's very bad, to be honest with you. It's actually based on a demo, a live. There was a tech demo made for the PS3. It was called Igni's Philosophy. You can look it up. It stars this like red cloaked, like Final Fantasy looking character, and she's like using magic and stuff as machine guns. It's very cool looking. That's what was used for Forspoken. That was like the basis of it. And then they made the games made by Luminous Productions, which was held by Hajime Tabata. He's the guy who directed Final Fantasy 15. He also directed Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core. And then he left the company during Forspoken, and now he's doing whatever he's doing. And that company went under, and Black Girl Gamers was responsible for creating Frey Allen. And she is probably one of the worst characters I've ever seen in a video game in a long time, and that's saying something.
Was she a main character in the game?
She was the protagonist.
Yes, so it's really bad just because like they were
she was the main character in the game.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
She was so basically they were consulted to make her into an authentic black character, and what they ended up doing, what they ended up doing was she is a young woman who has to resort to petty crime in order to keep herself afloat. She squats in an apartment I believe she doesn't own, and her father abandoned her at birth, and she doesn't
So it
know
took
her
place in
mother.
New York. Okay, I
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
this is
she's
what
named.
they think authentically black is.
Yes, yeah.
Am I
And
getting
she
that
was
right?
named after the like the train station, if I remember correctly, that they found her in. That's why her last name is Holland, if I remember correctly.
The game did so bad, nobody claimed any of the Prime free gifts or DLC for that game. They are still there in the void. No one claimed crap from the game.
Craig,
great
what are we
sign.
looking at here that you sent? What is this, Craig?
These are as of right now. There are 61 people playing this game worldwide on Steam.
Against their will.
And in the last 24 hours, they peaked at almost 100. So that's great compared to the
Wow.
all-time peak at.
Real quick, can you go look up Final Fantasy 15's all-time peak on Steam and compare that? Because that's their previous game.
Sure.
I,
Give me a
just wanna
second.
I can tell you right now. I don't
Right,
even have to
'cause
know
this
the
was
numbers.
Square
And I already
Enix.
know it's going to be crazy bad. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
horrible.
going to have to be awful. All right, while you're looking that up, let's go back to this article here. The website details just how involved the company was, talking about the Black Girl Gamers website and their involvement in partnership as a consultancy firm to Square Enix with Forspoken. Black Girl Gamers, quote, were hired to consult on Forspoken to provide insight on narrative and feedback on pre-release builds of the game that spanned from the gameplay experience to the portrayal of Frey as a female protagonist of Black descent, including topics such as colorism and texturism. So they were consulting on, I don't like her skin color and the texture of her skin, like, or what?
Skin
I don't know exactly what
color.
we're talking about. This.
Well, I'll explain it for you, Valley. So there's
Go ahead.
colorism, as in light skin versus dark skin, that whole nonsense, and then
Okay.
texturism with respect to hair textures.
Gotcha.
I think that's something
Okay.
that a lot of people don't understand is that there's a
I didn't. Yeah.
differentiation inside the African American community sometimes of dark skin versus light skin individuals.
Gotcha.
I don't know
Okay.
what that had anything to do with the story though, because that had
Nothing.
like that. They didn't,
Nothing.
It didn't play a role with Frey at all. And Frey does look like she looks mixed in the game. She does. So I don't know what the hell they were consulting on.
Yeah. What's
I
even
Didn't,
worse
didn't
is
make
that,
the game better clearly, but I don't know what that had to do with
what's
anything.
even worse is that Square Enix did a better job of representation when they didn't have any consulting groups. Look at Final Fantasy VII Remake with Barrett.
That's it.
Big black guy, and he's awesome.
Yep.
I
And they
have a
never bring
question.
up the fact that he's black. He's just a great black character. That's all you need.
I have a question towards this though. Are they honestly thinking that to be relatable, you have to be a squatter and doing petty crime? And
Oh, it's worse than that because you didn't bring up the fact that it starts with her like in the fucking courthouse.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
yeah, it
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah.
That's how the story starts. The story starts with her in court, like for some crime that she basically gets off easy on, which is weird in itself. I remember streaming this damn game. Now I'm having PTSD. Thinking about.
Eric, the best way
The
to set that up.
gameplay. I want to be fair to it. The gameplay wasn't the problem that I had with the game by any means. The gameplay itself was fine, but yeah, Frey was just all around weird character.
Well, but you know something you said there, Eric. That fits with what Black Girl Gamer says on their own website, right? They said they consulted on the narrative aspect and the colorism and texturism of, I guess, the character itself. The gameplay, well, I mean, Square Enix, they're no strangers to creating games. They've been doing it since the early 80s. I still have my first copy, the original copy, 1987, of the first Final Fantasy game. I've been playing Square Enix games since then. So, I mean, they're no strangers, so I can understand the gameplay was probably good, but I've heard people make comments about not only her and the storyline, but also the dialogue that she had was terrible.
That was the cheesiest part of it. The dialogue
Yeah.
was fucking her and her talking to whatever
Jarvis.
Her talking to
With
some
their mind.
old guy in that one is some of the most cringe dialogue
Yeah,
you've ever seen in your life.
that's not forgivable. None of that part of the game is forgivable.
Well, that's where these terms live, right? They really inject themselves and their expertise. I'll put expertise in quotes. Their expertise is story, right, and
Yeah.
also visual presentation, and so and sensitivity reading. That's what their focus is. They don't bring hard skills like any technical skills or any art skills. They're really there just to sort of tell you how you should do your story. And that is the problem. It's rarely the gameplay that's at issue. It's the story that is tanking, and the vindictiveness at which it approaches gamers and approaches particularly white male gamers and destroys existing characters that we have an issue with. DEI is great in games. The problem is it's been weaponized.
Can I ask you a question? You mentioned something, and I've seen that phrase used, and if anybody wants to jump in. Grums, could you explain, or Endymion, could you explain, what is the sensitivity reading aspect of this? Like, I've seen this thrown out there on BGG's website, Sweet Baby, all these other different places. What does that mean?
You want to go, Grums?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so sensitivity reading is basically just making sure that what you're writing is essentially not going to step on anyone's toes. It's not racist in a sense, making sure you don't offend anyone, if you will. There's a big
it's
thing
like
right now with
scrubbing
Microsoft.
it for political correctness.
Yes, it's basically
okay.
sanding off all the edges and ensuring that it is the most milquetoast thing you've ever seen, which is a big reason why a lot of stories and games don't work these days. Well, Western ones anyway, mostly, is because of that. There's no edge. There's nothing to them.
If I can just point this out, there was a whole thing about all of Roald Dahl's books. They employed a bunch of sensitivity readers to go through, and they corrected, quote unquote, corrected all of his books, and then we're going to release new editions. Of course, what ended up happening is they backtracked and ended up selling both versions, and his original books ended up skyrocketing. So a kind of a get woke, go broke backfire. I don't know how we want to classify that, but sensitivity readers all over the place. And I think the studios and Imagineering, if we're going to talk Disney, I think they do it too.
It is
It's a made up job.
Yeah. It's basically the last refuge of the professionally offended.
There you go. And
you're describing an Instagram filter for microaggressions. That's how I'm taking it right now. This is weird.
Yeah.
Look for 15.
Craig, here you go. Final Fantasy. Actually, I see Final Fantasy 14, which is an online MMORPG.
Right there.
Windows
Final
Edition
Fantasy,
right there.
Windows Edition.
Above a little bit. Right there.
There you go.
XV 15.
Okay.
Oh,
so if
that's
we
concurrent right now?
Yep.
You click on that one. Yeah, that just looks like 15, if I remember correctly, sold multiple millions within its opening week.
Yeah. What was
I
peak
believe
on that?
Forspoken didn't even break 1 million sales in total, I believe, since its release last year, which just shows you how poor it did.
Yeah.
And that's the, I guess you could say, the power of these consulting groups is they ruin things. Like, just look at Suicide Squad and compare that to the Batman Arkham games, and it's a completely different, numbers.
Right.
It's insane.
So
that's
horrible. In perspective, you see the 24-hour peak with Forspoken. This is a game that's relatively, I'd say new in comparison to Final Fantasy. I don't know, 1. which Final Fantasy 1 almost had as many peak in the last 24 hours. So
that's insane.
So yeah. It's amazing to see how quickly that game crashed.
That's why I'm so angry about it, because Black Girl Gamers ruined Luminous Productions. I mean, they saved Tetsuya Nomura's vision of Final Fantasy Versus 13 on the PS3, which became 15 eventually, and they were on their way to make another banger. If anyone wants to later on, go look up the trailer for Agni's Philosophy, and you could see what Forspoken could have been and what it ended up being. And it's so bad. Like, I 100%ed the game, unfortunately. There's only one male character in the whole game that is strong, and it's the main villain. There's no other strong male characters in the whole game. It's all women, and that's it. It's awful.
So the game is she has to beat the patriarchy. Okay, got it.
I'll also point out that I've been going around and checking out who's talking about us because, enjoying the moment here. And the number of channels that haven't even gotten the name of the game right. They call it Forsaken, and no one corrected them. That's how irrelevant Forspoken has become.
Right. And but they probably walked away with, I would bet, hundreds of thousands of dollars in consulting fees. Who knows?
Absolutely.
I would say about 90,000
expensive.
according to August 31st of 2022.
Too much money for that.
So here's the point, and this was the monologue I did on relating this to fiduciary responsibility. Now, Square Enix is one of those that is actually publicly traded, right? Square is a publicly traded entity. They spent $90,000 on getting Black Girl Gamers to consult on this game because maybe they got a bit of a talk like Sweet Baby Kim Billar, CEO, gives to folks, where she says, let those marketing people, let those higher-ups know that if they don't hire us, terrify them, her words, terrify them with what could happen or what might happen or whatever, however she said it. It's a direct threat. It's extortion. It's blackmail kind of thing. Maybe the same speech was given here. $90,000, and here's the kicker, folks, on a publicly traded company like Square. How much shareholder capital was destroyed with the failure of Forspoken? Answer me that. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.